Are you looking to improve your sales without resorting to pushy tactics? Welcome to Sales Made Easy, the podcast that helps you to achieve better sales results and gain long-lasting clients through relational selling. Let's get right into it. So Gabe O'Neill, the godfather of the video business card, digital accelerant. He is joining us today, and Gabe and I have had a number of conversations over the years, and we kind of lost touch a little bit, but Gabe resurfaced. He sent me, I still subscribe to his newsletter, and I thought of Gabe after reading the newsletter, and I said, I'm going to look into this video business card, and we developed our relationship a little bit since then. And now we're doing this live event together, all about pivoting and growing our business with success by being flexible and trying new things at times and so forth. So, Gabe, welcome to the show. What is the good word?
Well, thank you so much, Harry. I appreciate you having me. And you're right. It's been fun reconnecting with you. I've enjoyed every moment that we've had together, and look forward to more. So it was kind of kismet that you got back into my wheelhouse.
Well, that's the beauty of staying in touch with people. Even though we're not always in the market at the moment, no does not mean no forever. And you might have lost any hope that Harry would eventually buy from you, but then, over the course of the 3 or 4 years that we've known each other, I finally pulled the trigger and I said, I want one of these video business cards. So very
No,
excited to have that.
it's funny though when you say that. It wasn't like I was waiting for the phone to ring for you to call me. But I have another example of what somebody I just responded to today. I just got a text asking me if I would want to subscribe to a newsletter. And I see that I had, normally I would just say stop and do all that, but I had history with this person. And I looked back and back and back and back. It was a Jimmy's Junk Removal, I think. And they came out to the house about a year and a half ago. And he said, would you like to be on my newsletter, so that we can tell you when the discounts are coming and all this other stuff? And I said, absolutely, because they were great. And, I gave him my email address, and I know that we're going to be needing them again. So, but I just thought, well, that was brilliant. I mean, to do that now gave me an idea to, reach out by text to the people that I know and just say, hey, if you want some further, further connections, I can get through you through my email. So I thought that was fun.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense, right? So texting is a way for businesses to communicate or people to communicate. We do it all the time. And the open rate on texting compared to email, it is completely off the charts. I think it's somewhere around 90% last I heard. You might know a thing or two about that. What is the open rate on texting, Gabe?
Well,
No?
it's a lot. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
No, but if you think about it, when you get a text, you automatically reach for the phone. You at least look at it to see who it is. If you get an email, you're not doing that. I mean, a lot of and people get sometimes some people get barraged with so many emails that they can't even look at them all, right?
Yeah.
But with text, no matter what you're doing, you're going to look at it. So, so the open rate is extremely high, and that's why we focused on it. To be honest with you, is because it's just a much more effective way of communication.
Yeah, 100%. So you and I were chatting the other day, and we were talking about, because we have so many different interesting topics. One, your career, having left the corporate world and starting your own business and becoming successful at starting nonprofits and whatever else you've done over your lifetime in business. And one of the things you mentioned I thought was really interesting was, sometimes we get frustrated and we have this moment of the deep, dark moments where we say, why is this happening? And we look inward and we blame that the whole, for a moment, it's not like we wallow in this, but for a moment, we have this, why is this happening thought. And then, so we were talking about this, and then you said, well, this is like me just having to pivot like I've done before. And that became the topic for our discussion here today. So, Gabe, just how important is pivoting to you, and where have you done that over the course of your business, would you say?
Well, actually, I put that as the way I learned how to be an entrepreneur.
Mm,
So in before I was, everybody calls themselves entrepreneurs, but there's good ones and bad ones. The one when I was a bad one, I would say, "Come on, I just, I've been working so hard at this. Why is this? What the hell? Who's got it out for me? Is my mother? Is she mad at me? She's dead up there. Who is sending down these zingers from outer space? And you blame it on other people or whatever, and and I just realized at one point, so the pandemic was one because,
mm,
I won't go into it, but when we moved from Maryland to Atlanta, that was a huge hit for us. We got downsized in our job, and with no warning, no parachute, just pushed us out of the plane. So we moved down to Atlanta because of my daughter's nonprofit. So we had a number of years that were a little bit dark for us, and then but when we finally picked up the pieces and started getting into the software development down here, it just started to, get a little bit better. And then, then in 2008, I started creating digital business cards just to give away to people to get to know them better, and never thinking that it would be a business. But I figured, well, if I offer value to them, they get to see my work ethic. They get to see my tech skills, my creative, and then and they get to see that I follow through on things that I say I'm going to do, which is extremely important to me. And I find only about 4% of people do that. But anyway, so I gave them away for a year, and then finally I realized that wow, people are recommending them to their cohorts. I'm starting to sell them without even pushing them. Um, maybe I should look at this as if a lot of salespeople had these cards, it might be really beneficial to the entire company. Let me go into business. So I did, and that was late 2019. Um, and then 2000, that was November, literally this time in 2019. So November, December, good months. January, oh, even better because no holidays. February, good month, and then all of a sudden, we all know what happened in March 2020, don't we? They said, well, and that's how I promoted my cards, was going out physically to networking events and promoting them. And they said, well, guess what? As of right now, you can't go to any of them, period, for an unknown amount of time. And I thought, and that's when you go, here we go. But then I kind of realized that, this is really, it's something that it's something that it just happens to entrepreneurs. And guess what? I'm not the only person that this happened to. Guess what? It's not going to be the last time it's happened to. It's going to happen to me, and rightly so. About a year later, something else happened, which was almost equally devastating, that affected my business. But by that time, I said, okay, you know what? Hey, if I'm going to be a good entrepreneur, I'm going to have to deal with this and deal with it accordingly. And so, when we found, when the pandemic started, we started to find these online networking events. And I think Centricity, I think was the name of the first one that I found. And then I found April's group. I see April on. Hi, April. And I found her group. I found a bunch of other groups. And then all of a sudden, I'm selling them across the country. And that actually empowered me to sell a lot more. And so yeah, so pivoting is something that you should look like. I tell my daughter, because she's having some struggles in her work, and I said, this is I've been trying to show you this. I mean, you like work by example. You've got to be able to say, okay, how can I turn this into a positive? How can I, I've got a lot of good things going on. How can I use them in other ways, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah.
Yeah, so good. The whole idea of pivoting in when you're in your own business, things are going to happen. It's just there are we and I love the trajectory, right? Where we start off and we just keep going, and it's always a nice, smooth uphill. We just know what the next step is, but it's a lot of ups and
Right.
downs, challenges you never dreamt about, financial, challenges sometimes, dark places, and I look back at over the course of my career in business that this has always been the case, even though it becomes magnified when you're in the moment. But looking back, who hasn't had a change in their business in leadership, right? If you worked in the corporate world, new leader comes in, things might have been going perfectly well for you and your division. Now you've got to report to someone else who's kind of a jerk or doesn't get it. We make the adjustment. Sometimes we have to leave, we have to pivot out. Sometimes we pivot in a new direction inside of the company. In sales, you might have the hottest product. It might be equivalent to the iPhone, and then someone else comes out with something better. What do? You can gripe and moan about it. You say the world's against me. I'm not going to make any money anymore. Or you pivot. And the pivoting can be that you're going to go at it at a different approach with the same technology, or you might have to make an adjustment as to what you're selling or how you're selling it or the problems you're solving. You might have to venture into a different market. There is so much going on um, in business where we need to do this, I think, on a fairly regular basis. So I used to say to people that reported me on the sales team is that when they got frustrated, something new came along, I said, just give it 90 days. Because I learned that over a period of a quarter, either the problem went away, something else came along that was better, or we figured it out and it took us a little bit to figure it out. But it always worked out. It's the ones I think where the real danger is, Gabe, and you might agree, is that when you stop, stick your head in the sand and say it's over. And some do that, but I think, like you mentioned, you said the difference between a good entrepreneur and one maybe that's still struggling a lot more is you deal with it and you figure things out. So, what's your thought
Right.
on all of that?
Right. Well, when you just said it, when they say it's over, they're right. It's over. And that's they become that statistics as to why so many businesses don't make it past 5 years or whatever those statistics are, right? And so they're definitely predicting their own future by saying it's over because it really is. And the thing is, the roller coaster is the best way that I can describe it, and it's always that way, and it's funny because, it's sometimes for us the highs have been pretty high, but the lows have been pretty low, and and then you go, when's that high going to come? And it's not coming, it's not coming, but then it does come. And oh, okay, I'm okay now, and then but it's funny. You have to learn to deal with that too. You have to understand, like with again with my daughter, she's in the film business and it's really drying up in Atlanta right now. And she's so good at what she does that it's frustrating her because she doesn't have the work to do. And but I said, this is just a hole in the market, and it's going to go back up, and she's experiencing all that right now, and it's something that just you just have to know that the good stuff is going to come. I can't tell you how many times that repeats itself
Yeah.
because sometimes I'll think that, oh man, is it somebody are people not interested in my cards anymore or what something like that? And then I'll come up I'll get on. Somebody will get on. They'll go, "Oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen," and yada yada yada. And let me get a whole bunch of them, and I want to sell them for you. And so it's funny to me. So now to me it's almost funny because if I think to myself, well, this isn't working. And yeah, it's working. But you just have to keep. I think the strongest thing that you have to do, or the most important thing that you have to do, is stick to it. It's just that's it's kind of overused, and the persistence and all that. But I can't tell you, like, for that's another thing that I wanted to show my daughter as she grew up, that no matter what happened to us, I was not gonna be that dad who's gonna go be the drunk and get in jail and all that. I was gonna be the one who just made sure that no matter what, we're just gonna keep going. And
Yeah. So
I'm
good.
not a billionaire right now because of it, but and not that I even want to be, but it's I think I'm a lot better off than had I just given up at some point. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I mean, when you mentioned your daughter, I do a lot of what I'm doing in life. I reflect on that. I do this for our children as well. It's not just me. It's setting the bar, setting the example. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that, like, for instance, in 2008, that time frame, late 2008, early 2009, the market crashed. Nobody was buying anything. It looked very bleak, similar to COVID, but it was different because we could look back at COVID. You could look back at 2008, 2009. You in 2008, 2009, you're trying to look back to 1987. And I mean, we're talking 20 years, and it was still different, where you're having huge companies just disappear, and the market crash, and people in DC where I was working selling, they were not looking to buy anything. It was complete survival mode.
hmm
So what I suggested to the team, and the whole team bought into it, is like, we can cower, we can give up, or we can double down on what we need to do. And we did, and we tore it up in 2009 with all kinds of sales, and people are like, how are you doing this? And all it was just, we put forth the effort. We didn't, some people just stay in the office and gripe, and others went out after it, because and I always use this comparison: drive by a mall, drive by a store that's popular. The parking lot still has people still cars in the parking lot, and people are still going into these places. So somebody somewhere is buying. We're just hearing all kinds of garbage that nobody's buying. So let's go find the people that are buying. And sure enough, we found people that are buying. And this is always the case. It may not be like it is super prevalent. You just have to work a little bit harder. Thoughts on
yeah,
that, Gabe?
yeah. I mean, effort is what is really a big word in that, because you do have to put in the work. That when I train my clients, that's what I say. This isn't for the lazy marketer. There's some of my clients are wanting that you've got a gadget, and that gadget's going to bring in business for me. So I'm just going to buy your gadget and let all that money come in. Life doesn't work that way, and marketing doesn't work that way. You've got to be active, and you've got to really hit it all the time. And our tool helps you put that on steroids, but at the same time, you've got to use it. And one other thing I want to impart was, the other thing about, you've been more of a, I guess, the real definition of a salesperson for a while. For me, I've been a software developer. I kind of got thrown
Mm-hmm.
into this. And, as a salesperson, you just have to, I kind of had to learn how to do it all along. So I met this guy actually pretty recently, and and you could just tell he's like he's knocking people over to sell his stuff. He was just that guy. He wasn't offensive, but he was just very aggressive, and I admired that part of him. And he said, he asked me, so what are you doing with these leads that you get? And I said, oh, I text them back. he said, wait, you don't, and I was getting Facebook, I was doing Facebook ads. He said, no, you don't call anybody. And I go, no, I don't want to bother them. you know? And he said, they're warm leads. They got your ad. You've got to call them. He said, I tell you this, you're going to get a lot more sales that way. And as it turned out, I called you, right? After you did it, and that
Yeah.
turned into some. But another one more recently that really sticks out is it was a lawyer who answered one of my Facebook ads. And those are people that really seek out. So I called him and I left a voicemail. He didn't pick up. So typically, even now, I don't call people like a bunch of times, but I think I called him again, and he said, "Oh yeah, you got that video thing. That's really cool. I saw it on Facebook." He said, "I don't need it for me. I need it for my wife." And I said, "Well, let me ask you something. Are you against getting more business from the?" He said, "Actually, yes. I've got more business than I can handle, but I think this is really, really cool. And I'm going to buy one for my wife." He asked me how much it was, and he said, "Yeah, I'm just going to buy it." And um, and then he gave me his wife's information, and then we just released her card today. So
Nice.
that was an instance. Had I never called that guy, never would have got that sale.
Yeah.
So
Well,
calling is go
yeah. And
ahead.
so you pivoted right there, right? That's
Exactly.
right. You changed your behavior and listened to someone. And this, Gabe, is huge. People who are in small businesses, people who want to speak for a living, they don't realize, many of them don't realize how important it is to become skilled in selling.
Mm-hmm.
It is it's the number one thing. If you want to grow your business, work on the sales side of things. I mean, coming from the sales side of the world of business, it's real easy to see how progress is made over a relatively short period of time. In 3 to 6 months, starting something completely new, you can learn about the product you're selling. You can learn about the strengths. You can learn about the problems you're solving. You can learn how to have conversations and start talking to people about the challenges that they're faced with and what they've done to look for solutions to solve the problems. Now you're building a funnel. And in that
Mm-hmm.
funnel, people don't necessarily buy right all at once, but they buy over a period of time, many of them, not all of them. But if you're starting a business and you say, well, I'm a really great software developer. I can do these digital business cards or these video business cards. They're going to look amazing. But if I sit in my house all day and just have this really cool thing, it's not like people are going to find you. A friend of mine says it's like hanging a billboard in the desert. It's not going to bring you business. You
Right.
have to get out and speak to people. And then you have to figure out how you can speak to them better, right? Where you can have better conversations. You can ask better questions instead of saying, well, I show up, but I don't work at improving my skills. So I
Mm-hmm.
love, love, love what you just said. It's like, here is someone that gave me an idea. I put it into practice, and you immediately got myself and this other person. You got two sales that could have just been text. And if it was just text, I probably would not have done anything
Absolutely.
and said, it's there. It's one of those future things. I was just curious, but having a conversation, you ask a couple of questions. It's like, yeah, I guess I am really interested in this. So
Mm-hmm.
kudos to you.
Yeah. So one of my clients is his keyword actually when people get our cards we each one of us gets a keyword to the 321 number you see in my screen. But his keyword is Kaizen. He's Japanese, and Kaizen is Japanese for continuous improvement. And I felt that really labels me. It's not only with what we do with our product, but me as a person, I'm always looking to do that. So knowing that I have no sales background, I've got to pick it up somewhere. And so there's a bunch of sales. When it's like the other thing, when you're like a competitor. In college, I didn't spend much time studying. I spent more time. I was in Canada playing snooker because I really got involved. I love that game. But the
Okay.
whole
What was
time,
the game?
it's called snooker. It's
Oh,
British, and
okay.
it's like pool, like a pool table in the U.S. Only it's much
Okay.
more sophisticated and much more difficult. And so, I loved that. And but I would play the people that would beat my butt every time, because you're not going to get any better unless you do that. I mean, and I really ascended. There was one guy who was one of the best in the school. By the third year that I was there, I ended up beating him in a really important tournament that I never would have ever would have beaten him had I not played, had he not beaten me 100 times before that, right?
Mm.
But it was the same thing with sales, and even with you. I'll give you a little plug here. We talked about when about how the sales process, even when I was selling you the card, and you told me what your pain points were, and I used some of that, and I use that in my speech, like a lot when so I do think that you're really good at what you do, and I just wanted to get that out there, and I really appreciate how you do things. And then but that's, again, it's about learning things from other people, and then bringing the things that you like, that match your personality, into it, and then going out and then using that for your own benefit. So that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And I'm 100% on board with you about striving to be better. The great thing about what I love about sales, one of the many things I love about sales, is that it helps you to see what your record is. I mean, every day you wake up, you have to go earn something. The other thing is that when you get better at it, and you look at why you're getting better and what you're trying to do. Some people look at say, well, I need to be a better closer. I'm not like that. I mean, I know how to close business, but it's always to me about being a better listener, a better communicator, asking better questions, never forgetting that you have to ask for the business and ask for the next step and lay all of that out and make it easy for people. But it can help you so much in other relationships. So if you become a great listener in sales, which is huge because people, they want to be heard. They want to tell you what is on their mind. They want to let you know their doubts, their concerns, their fears. And they're not going to tell you the first time frequently. They have to see that you're there, that you're trustworthy, that you're not going to be blabbing all over them and telling them what they're doing wrong. So there's a lot for people to open up. Once they do, then you have a real opportunity to be an answer to a problem, right? You can become very consultative in those situations, which carries out later in other aspects of our life, right? So if you're a really good listener in the field, you should be a pretty good listener at home, right? So all of these things that you say is like, I want to be better. It's not just business, but because it will eventually bring the business side, right? Where the traits that we're working on to improve will bring into our families and our relationships, and all of those will improve as well.
Right.
That's
And
something you've noticed, Gabe?
well, when you talk about closing, it's funny because um, I've always said to myself that, if I close somebody, if I actually close them, if I convince them that they should buy my video business card, but I know that they're not going to use it, and I know that they're not right for it, I've just sold a bad client.
Mm.
And now I've got a bad client who's going to spit out stuff. Oh, this card doesn't work. Oh, this card doesn't do anything. I'm not happy with it. Blah blah blah. So I don't close people at all. What I do is I show them the value, and I take them through, and just like I did with you, I take them through all the different systems of it. We have 5 distinct components of our system that bring in business for people. I show them the value. If they see that, if I can use this, I'm going to get this much more revenue. I'm going to get this much more clients, and this is going to come in, and my digital profile is going to be elevated, and I'm going to look like a rock star, and I'm not going to be, if they see all that, then I simply help them buy it. So I think that's the approach I've taken, and I might have missed some quote unquote sales because I hadn't pushed hard enough. But I'm not that guy. I just can't be that guy. So anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's great. I mean, the fact that you're not pushing, you don't have to push people. It's like when they're ready and you ask if the problem is greater than the fact that they need to make a change. So sometimes they just say status quo, right? We lose more deals to status quo where people don't do anything. And it's not really like we're losing, they're just not ready yet. So when you look down at your list of people that you're calling on that have been in the funnel, and if you call them and say, have you made a decision yet? I'm ready. They don't care that you're ready. They
right,
have to be ready.
right,
And for the
absolutely,
most part, people are not ready on our timeline. They're ready on their timeline. And wouldn't it be great if they're ready on our timeline so we could tell those maybe we're reporting to in sales, we could say to our sales leader, yes, I'm going to close them this month because they're going to buy on my timeline.
right,
I have yet to see that.
right. Wouldn't it be great if every client that if every prospect that we visited wanted to buy like we want them to?
Yes. Well, it's so funny, but having come from the corporate world and having to play the game to some degree, talking to CFOs and market presidents about what business we're going to close. This is a wish list. This is what people are telling us, but it's not a perfect science. I mean, you can only go so far. You can ask the person, what is your timeline? They say, well, it's over this period of time. Say, well, if we can make it all work out, you see yourself going ahead. They said, yes, absolutely. And then stuff happens, right? So they're sitting, it's towards the end of the year, something else comes up that takes priority and the deal gets pushed into the following year. Now, do we have to pivot? We got to go find someone else, right? That's just getting it, tying it all back in together. You can't just gripe and moan and say, well, you said you're going to go with us. What happened? I told others that you're going to buy. They don't care about our
Exactly,
sob story. They care about their business. And we have to be flexible and adjust and still be consultative and simply say, no problem. I'm here for you when things are better for you. How can I support you today? You do that, you're going to
absolutely,
get tons of business. Thoughts?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny where people when they I think regarding that the I don't know, I just lost my train of thought for some reason, but
Well,
yeah.
no problem. One of the things that you and I were speaking about, I and I enjoy our conversations, but I think this is a pretty common thing is that people say that they're interested. They're interested in that shiny new object, right? Because you talked about this and you said, but it really requires work. Here is, I think, is another key is for us to be discernible and say, is this really a fit with this particular person that I'm calling on?
Hmm.
Sometimes we're just so blinded. I remember trying to sell a $50,000 color printer to a hair salon one time. And, I didn't have the business acumen to know that a hair salon was not going to be spending $50,000 on a color printer. They
That's
showed
funny.
interest. It was a shiny object for them, but I learned that that's not where I need to be spending my time.
Right.
Sometimes we have to learn these lessons where we say, this is a person that likes the shiny object. This is a person that says this would be an ideal world. But do they want to do the work? Do they want to spend the money? Do they want to really make the change? And if you're looking at this honestly and you're saying, I don't see it, you got to ask you've got to ask some more pointed questions to make sure you're not wasting your time, which again, it's all part about pivoting to be a little bit better. Did
Yeah,
that encourage
well,
your
that
thinking a little?
that's a funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because that's the thing that I'm probably the worst at is that um, figuring out people because they'll say to me, "Oh my God, Gabe, that's I've never seen anything like this. This is unbelievable. I have to have this." and then and you think and oh, I'm going to be buying. I've had people stay on the Zoom call like way after, like 45 another half hour afterwards, and asking me all these details, and then they ghost me afterwards, and I'm going, oh, what is that? So
Yeah.
I'm just not good at. That's the part that I'm not good at. But again, it's just part of the deal where, like even the Sarah who just bought with the husband with the lawyer. Um, she was yeah, I'm gonna get it. Oh, I'm gonna tell my workmates about it. And then she said, I'll call you. Well, let's talk about it tomorrow. Couldn't get her the next day. Couldn't get her the following day. I thought, here we go. There's going to be another one. And finally, she reached back to me on LinkedIn and said, no, 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 I'm actually interested. I'm going to do it. And I've just been crazy, so you have to take that all in stride. I don't have a good filter that can recognize right off the bat if somebody's full of it or not.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm just listening to this, and the first thing that comes to my mind is like I used to sell software that was fairly a fairly decent investment, right? Where we're talking thousands of dollars a month, and it was going to reduce soft costs, make companies more efficient, blah blah blah. One of the questions I had to learn to ask was, "Have you ever done anything like this before?" It's like, no, no, this is the first time. We need to do it a complete. Well, that that right there tells you that they're not always looking to be better and more efficient, and that thinking that software is the answer. So I looked at those situations as inventing the wheel. That company was inventing their own wheel, and I'd rather spend time with companies that had already invented the wheel, and now we're looking to make the wheel even better.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what your business is, but if someone says, well, I'm interested in this, I'm doing this, and you ask the question, it's like, have you ever done anything similar to this? And if the answer is no, this would be the first time, that might put things into perspective. And maybe that's not the question, but it could be, what's your presence like on social media? How do you feel about video? And are you using video today? Are you trying to stay in touch with your clients consistently? And you have all these questions that you're asking. And if you're hearing no, but I want to, then that would be an indicator to me that there might be some lag there between saying I want to do it until it gets done. And I
Right.
remember talking to you years ago, Gabe, that your product looked really cool, but I didn't appreciate the value of it until I ran into a problem. And in our particular case, the problem was me entering data from business cards was not what I wanted to be doing. And when people text the number or the name, or the word serve to 321-421-5213, they now come into my little world. And that is a whole lot easier than me bringing them into my world. Let them come into my world is different than me trying to bring them into the world. So a simple thing like that, that was my issue. And I know others have different things. There's different types of digital cards out there. I was looking at prices. Oh my God, that's a big investment compared to someone else who's charging, a fraction of the price, but it didn't do what I realized I needed eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go through the journey of trying something out, getting frustrated, saying, I need something better. If you
Right.
were the first person and the price was where it was at, and I might have just said, I'm not going to do anything. It was, I eventually got more serious through that little journey I took. What's your thought on all that?
Well, that's been our struggle. Well, yeah, I guess you could call it a struggle. Is that people, when the first thing that people think of when they think of digital business cards is other cards that are out there, right? And what they'll do is they'll project their negative experiences on me.
Mm,
So, oh, this guy Gabe, he's got a great video business card. Oh yeah, well I've tried them before and they don't work,
yeah.
and blah 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 blah. So I don't even need to see his. So that's really why we rebranded the video business cards, because that's got a little bit of a different twist to it. But at the same time, we're doing a lot with video, and video is so much more powerful. We started with like when in Facebook, for example, I hired a company and they put up an image ad and all that, and it didn't do anything. And then I hired this other guy, this bull guy that I was telling you about earlier. He was helping me with my Facebook ads, and we did images and they didn't work. But as soon as we added video to our Facebook ads, it made a huge difference. And so, video is really, really important to grab people's attention. So now that I've got that moniker as a video business card, so now people will go, oh, okay, so this is different. But at the same time, I can't tell you how many people come to me when they do come to me, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I've had the this card, the that card." I say, "Are you happy with it?" No, I don't really use it anymore. It doesn't really do anything for me. Well, that's why we are totally, totally different. We have five distinct components that that help you get business. That's what our core being is about, helping people get business through our technology. And so that's why it's so different. So, and when it's usually when people see it, um, then that's when they see the value, and that's when they say, "Oh yeah, I've got to have it." But it's funny you mentioned that. If I ask them, "Do you network at all?" and they go, "No," uh, then I go, "Okay, well, this you're not networking at all. If you're not, how are you going to get? Oh, I'm going to put it on social media." No, no,
Yeah.
no, that's not how this works.
Well, there you
So
go. So that's a good qualifying question.
exactly.
Right. So yeah. And this you're pivoting frequently. We don't necessarily have to look at pivoting as like I'm going from this direction and I'm going to go completely the
Right.
opposite or do something dramatically. Sometimes it's just minor little adjustments, right? Being flexible, looking at the market, looking at whatever it is you're selling. How can I do this a little bit better? And not being afraid to do it. I mean, the idea of video for many is paralyzing. But where else, how else are people going to see the type of person that they're going to work with? And it just does not come out the same through an email or a text or a picture. It's that video where they can say, yeah, I want to do business with this person. It is so much better.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it really does make a huge difference. And it's just something that it just makes a world of difference when you're sending out video, or when, even again with the Facebook ads, that the video the video ads just really do much better, and just across the board, they're doing it really helps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it caught my attention. And it was funny. As soon as you called me, it's like, oh, this is Gabe. I should have known. And it was a good experience, right? So,
Mhm.
Gabe, you have something for the audience here today. I wanted to. I think you're giving away a little free gift or something.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I've learned that free.
Sorry, I don't
No,
mean to
that's
put you on
okay.
the
That's
spot.
another thing that I'll pass along, is that if I gave away a card for free to person, they treat it like it's free,
Mm.
and so they don't respect it. So that's something. But what I would say is if you want to experience what we've been kind of hinting around, just scan the QR code. That will create the text that you see in front of you, which is Gabe to the 321-421-5213 to get my card. And then, of course, but before you do that, I want you to text the word serve to 321-421-5213 to get Harry's card. But yeah, but as I've been doing, it's always pivoting. It's always doing something different. And what I am going to, I've been working on this thing that I'm really excited about. Our card has really evolved over the years, and we have all kinds of really cool features. But now we've created something called the video book.
Ah,
um, Now, what that is, somebody was really excited about the card, but wanted to show it to his company, right? And he said, "Can you send me something that I can show to them?" And brochures just don't kick it. And I thought, well, our product is such a visual product that, they're going to really want it's got to be shown on video somehow.
yeah.
But if I send them a long video, they're not going to watch it. Now, if I send them a short one, it's not going to be enough information. So, but and I'm God forbid I'm not sending them to YouTube with a playlist or anything like that. That said, they get sucked in that vortex forever. So, I came up with the idea of a video book, which is a number of digestible chapters. The chapters can be a minute long or 2 minutes long, but it's all presented in one like book that you can go from chapter and chapter, and you can skip over chapters. But it gives you it allows me to enter in all that information, or to give out that information, even showing examples for each one of the different five components that I mentioned. And so yeah, that's what. So I'm going to put that in the chat here in a second.
So that's the gift though, right? Is the video book?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, that's very exciting. I think you're opening up a whole new idea here for many of us. I'm thinking I should do that because now I can have a series of videos that are valuable. I might just steal your idea here, Gabe, because it sounds like a really good one. And put it together in some format where people are seeing this, not getting lost on my playlist on YouTube or TikTok. So
Right.
that
And
sounds
and
really
so it's
interesting.
it's but it's not just a video book. We marry it to our digital card technology so that your branding is there, the call to actions are there. It looks a lot more professional, and it's really good. I know we're going to be wrapping up here in a second, but I just did think of something about pivot. You mentioned pivoting um, in kind of little ways, and that's and every day for me is like, okay, what can I do to do something different? But what I have done is the Facebook ads were relatively new. I started with Facebook ads with a client did them for me a couple of years ago. We didn't get anything from them. I
Mm.
gave them 2 grand in it. We got nothing. So I didn't think Facebook was a good spot for me. But in talking to other people, they kind of convinced me to try it. Tried one company, didn't work. Tried another company. He taught me how to do it, and it started to get a little bit of ground. And then the lawyer with the lady who we just sold today, that came from a Facebook ad. So I kept up with that. And then I tried. Okay, let's see if we can try email. And I found this guy randomly from Portugal who does it incredibly detailed and efficient and organized, and we didn't get squat from it for like 3 months. And so I don't think email is the right way for me to sell my product. But now I'm pivoting again. I'm hiring this person who's helping me with my LinkedIn exposure, and we've got a program. It's pretty intense actually with all the stuff that I have to learn, and there's software, and there's all these different scripts and yada yada. But I'm hoping that that's going to be. But yeah, it's I just encourage everybody to don't stop. Just keep trying different things. Just keep something's going to work, something's going to break, and just don't stop. And and
Oh
and,
my
and that's
goodness. It's so true. If you say I tried that and it didn't work, and you're just frustrated, I understand that. But trying something once and saying it didn't work, that's not enough.
hmm
There has to be tenacity, and you have to say, I am going to figure this out. I'm going to find the right person. Somebody's going to help me figure this out, but I'm not going to try it once and give up. Right. And I just really enjoy hearing that you just stuck with it. You said, I'm going to keep finding, I'm going to keep trying something, I'm going to learn about it. Yeah, wouldn't it be great if you try Facebook once, get the ads, it works, click, boom, making tons of money? That'd be ideal. It just doesn't really work that way. So
Right.
sometimes you have to
Yeah.
just go a lot further in than what we might be willing to do.
Yeah,
Gabe?
and for us, it's about getting in front of the right people.
Yeah.
If I get in front of the right people, it's a one time close. They see it, they buy it, and my challenge has been getting in front of enough of those people, and so that's where the Facebook ads come in. So it's a hit and miss, and I can tell if the person who answered the ad is going to be viable or not, and then the email I just don't think we did it for a while, and we changed things up a bunch. And I just don't think that's the right platform because our our product is so visual, and you
Yeah.
can't put anything visual in an email when you're sending out to 50,000 people or whatever. And but and now with the LinkedIn thing, I think this is going to be pretty effective because I'm sending videos to people and all that. So yeah, but it's just and maybe it didn't work that way. Maybe it works a different way. Like with the Facebook ads, they didn't work at all. So, but I tried it again a different way. Second time didn't work at all. I tried it the third way, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden I started figuring out that yeah, it does work.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just gotta. Again, it's all about you got to go all in with what you're doing. You just got to go all in with it, and don't ever give up. Don't ever get downtrodden. And, don't ever get depressed about it. Just keep going all in, no matter what. Like as if you don't have a choice, which I don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you because I do believe you have to have this kind of tenacity. I'm just going to say that if you don't have the right product and there's not a demand for it, you've got to be discerning on that. But
That's true.
right, where some I just look at what they're doing is I shake my head. I posted a video about it. Someone's doing something for 10 years, not seeing results, and they're just, I'm gonna die till it becomes I'm gonna do this or die first. It's like, well, good luck to you. But I mean,
Right.
you've got to have some acumen that there is a demand for this. And there are others, like in the digital video business cards, there are others doing it. You've got a nice different spin on it that makes it, in my mind, more valuable. And so you just got to, like you said, I got to find the right people. And that's a lot about picking out your ideal client profile, right? People that get it, people that are serious, people don't mind spending money and growing their business. So your ideal client profile is going to have some of those characters in it. And figuring that out sometimes takes a little bit of time. So
And people who are active in their marketing. I didn't add that
yeah.
until recently, which I should have added it from the beginning.
Yeah.
But people who
Oh,
are not active in their own marketing are not gonna they're not gonna do it, or they're gonna do it for a while and quit.
yeah.
So that's another one that I just added.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Great stuff. So
Hmm.
Gabe, I think you mentioned this before, but I'm thinking I need to, if I want more information from Gabe, I need to text the word Gabe, real easy to spell, to 321-421-5213. And I'm going to get my eyes are going to be looking at your video business card. Easy for me to say.
Hmm. Very
Any
good.
final thoughts, sir?
No, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you. I've really had fun with our conversations. This was an extension of that, and I look forward to more.
Awesome. Me too. All right, gang. Have a great rest of the day. Hopefully, this was helpful. I really encourage you to get into the video world a little bit more if you're a little slow at it, and check out Gabe's information there by texting Gabe to 321-421-5213. Serve first. The selling will follow, and Gabe is the epitome of that. So great
Here you
stuff,
go.
Gabe.
Hmm. Thanks, sir.
Thanks for listening to Sales Made Easy. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Also, you're invited to join the Facebook group Sales Training Selling with Dignity. Serve first, the selling will follow.